Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Welcome to the sun-drenched southern coast of Portugal for round number 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by the SCCA Foundation and Butt Kicker, where a stacked grid of GTP, LMP2, and GT3 racers will lay it all on the line for 75 minutes here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod in the commentary box, with Jonathan Grabowski behind the scenes, making sure you've got the best seat in the house. And tonight, I can't even talk. We are where speed meets spectacle at the legendary Algarve International Circuit. Nestled in the hills of Portimao, this roller coaster of a track is primed and ready to test the limits of man and machine. With its blind crests, its rapid elevation changes, and hair-raising corners, there's no margin for error, just flat-out racing. And so, good evening, Larry, and welcome to Portugal.
I thank you. I'm so glad you got the word spectacle correct. Yes, so welcome to
Obviously, I can't do contractions to save my life.
Portugal and the Algarve circuit here in Portimao. It's cool. This is a relatively new track on the platform, so not everyone's got a lot of seat time here, but we got a decent crowd here lined up to run this World Challenge race tonight. And I think what they're going to get is a track that we were talking about a minute ago. It's a lot of motorcycle events are here, a lot of international Grand Prix bikes that'll go up and down these hills here, and F1 has been here before. I think it's a fantastic track. It is one of the newer tracks in the world, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun tonight. Let's see what kind of action it generates here with our big field of World Challenge entries.
Yeah, absolutely, Larry. The track's been around since opened up in the fall of 2008. and it has, of course, hosted the not the United States, but the Formula One Grand Prix during COVID years, I think in 2020 and 2021. And I know it is a circuit that many of the drivers wanted to return to, but those money grubbing team owners and Formula One management folks, they're not going to let that happen. Anyway, let's take a look, Larry, as we've got our drivers out for the Speed Lab qualifying session here, 15-minute qualifying session, which we had joined already in progress, as they say, where we give the drivers 4 attempts, 4 flying laps in order to set their fastest times and set the grid for this evening's 75-minute race. And as you're watching these drivers on track, we do have 4 different classes. We've got our GT3 racers, and they are divided into both GT3 AM and GT3 Pro. We've got a brand new driver here in his BMW M4 GT3, Chester Guidry. He is one of our AM drivers. You can pick out the AM drivers because they've got the green number boards, mirrors, windshield banners, and end plates on their wings. And if you look on the left-hand side of your screen, we've got them all grouped in green as well. Then we've got folks like Mike Dam from Orion Racing in his new to him Mercedes AMG GT3. I've been racing a Porsche over the last couple of rounds, and Mike is one of our pro drivers. You can pick out the pro drivers. They've got the Ricmotech red number boards on the sides of their cars, along with the mirrors, windshield banners, and end plates on their wings. And then we've got our 2 prototype classes. We'll move over and take a look at our GTP racers, where we've got Jimbo Pfeiffer in his Cadillac. And all of the GTP racers, they've got the black number boards on their cars and black windshield banners. And then our LMP2 racers, all racing in their Dallara chassis, like Jordan Butler, one of our fastest drivers in practice this week. And the LMP2 racers, they've got the blue number boards, windshield banners, mirrors, and end plates on their wings, Larry.
They do. Well, what we do have tonight is we got a lot of drivers in the GT3 class that have switched cars this week from what they've been running earlier in the season. We'll cover them. In fact, there's one of them that probably needs a new car now anyways. That was Leo Dragota. He needs a new Mercedes. I think they had been previously running, if I recall, the Porsche. And they are in the Mercedes now. So we'll keep an eye on some of the others. There's Chad Sabrin in one of the Mustangs, which I believe he may have already been in before. And there's a good look at Milan Harris now running in, I think he also had been in the Acura before. We'll get to a couple of those changes as the evening rolls on.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, a lot of the Rockefeller drivers moving over to different chassis. I think Milan may be one of the exceptions, staying with the Acura there. Another Acura driver that we're watching right now, John Casey, who has not changed his car. One of our Frito Sport entries, currently running 11th in AM. And, well, it looks like that may be where he's going to stay, as he is on his cooldown lap. He's already completed 4 laps here, Larry. So it looks like he's not going to get any further. But let's do this. We've got somebody sitting in the green room that we've been trying to bring in for an interview for the last couple of weeks. He is the lead of our new qualifying sponsor, Speed Lab. And I want to bring in Filippo Barberi, driver of the number 186 Speed Lab Dream to Inspire GT3 Porsche.
All right, joining us here pre-race is Filippo Barberi. And Filippo, tell me a little bit about if you're getting ready for tonight's event at this new track. Are you feeling good about it?
Getting there. It was a kind of like not super last minute decision, but one of our drivers couldn't make it tonight, so I decided I wanted to kind of fill in. So we have some representation. So I think I have like maybe 50 laps total here so far. So
that's not too bad.
Not too bad, so it is what it is. Looking forward to
49 more than Larry or I.
It's a few more laps than either of us have run, but it does look like a fun track nonetheless.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your company, about that you've brought in here, and is now actually as a part of this league a little bit, and what you guys do in relation to sim racing.
Yep. So basically, in like out of the sim racing world, so I do neuro enhancement and physiological enhancement for athletes, race car drivers, motorsports, and anything from motorsports, cycling, all like any amateur to professional sports. So, and then I also have a medical practice that I have that I treat cognitive rehabilitation and all cognitive issues. A while ago, I got a sim and I started using it for actually rehabilitation with my patients, and I was using it to get data on my drivers because I would put a neurofeedback machine on them. So I want to see what's going on when they're driving. It's hard to do that in a race car because of all the vibrations, but in a somewhat of a controlled environment, you get some really good data. And I'm like, no, I think there's something here. So then I started developing specific cognitive and physiological protocols for actually sim racing, and we started doing really well with it. The drivers started responding really well. We got people that just started basically driving, especially in the beginning. It's very hard to work on that sustained focus and on that reaction time, decision making capabilities, and especially people get so nervous and make mistakes. And I'm like, let's take this a step farther. Let's see how far we can develop this. So then I got basically started a sim racing team, mainly because I'm a scientist, so I'm a nerd, and I wanted to get data, make my test subjects. And it just started getting better and better and better. And I'm like, I think there's something we can do here, because a lot of times, especially from anybody that just wants to sim race, stick with that or go from sim racing to motorsports, that transition, both on the neural side and on the physical side, it can be quite challenging. So we develop protocols to help them with that, to raise their sustained attention, or if it's better emotional regulation, if it's better, quicker reaction time, if it's their quick decision-making skills, hand-eye coordination. And on the physical side, it's sim racing, as much as people think that it's just you're sitting down and not really having any cardiovascular output, it is, you actually end up burning quite a amount of calories. You need to be in somewhat, really good shape to make sure that your fitness is not going to affect your neurological output, right? And vice versa. So that's what we do. We do customized training plans, both for brain and the body, and it's one of my passions.
That sounds amazing. So you're telling me that eating a couple of Oreos, chasing it with a Red Bull, probably not the best pre-race. I'm sure you got data that shows that that's not the best way to approach a race preparation. But tell you what, I'd love to talk to you a little bit more, but I know we got a race that's going to get started.
Yeah, you're in it. Grid. So
yes, I wanted to go up to grid. Right. We'll talk a minute here about Speed Lab.
Thank you for everything that you guys do. I really appreciate it. You guys, I told you guys a long time ago, you make this really fun for us guys that, can't get to the racetrack in real life. So thank you.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Gary. Good luck tonight. And he's in Speed Lab, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. So good luck tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much to Filippo Barberi from Speed Lab Dream to Inspire, sponsor of our Speed Lab qualifying sessions, Larry. And it is now time to take a look at the results of the Speed Lab qualifying sessions with our starting grid. Tell you what, why don't you take the prototypes tonight, and I'll take the GT cars.
Sounds good. Let's start with our prototypes and our GTPs. And on the pole tonight, no surprise here from D2D Sim Racing, it's Bailey Petrowski. Alongside him is going to be the Canadian from Serpent Racing, it's Stephen Hudak. Row 2, you've got HSR Phantom Racing entry, Dalton Fredericks will be on the inside, and on the outside, Leadpaw Racing's Sean Fitzgerald. Behind them, Lucas Dragoda from Dragon Sport Racing on the third row, alongside Sector 5 Racing's Jimbo Pfeiffer. And then finally on the fourth row, from D2D Sim Racing, it's Aaron Bieber. Brings us to our LMP2 is on the pole tonight, Jordan Griffin from Purple Sector Motorsport. He'll be on the row 1 there, alongside his teammate Nicholas Lemon. Row 2, it's going to be a Rockefeller Racing entry, Avon Dorsey, lined up alongside DNA Motorsports' Jordan Butler. Behind them, Purple Sector Motorsports' Carson Cushman. We'll see what Carson can do tonight, starting near the back of the field.
All right, there we go. Let's take a look now at our GT3 racers as the GTP cars start their way on their pace lap here of 2.9 mile, 15 turn Portimao. On the pole tonight for Sector 5 Racing, and moving to a Lamborghini here, Larry, is Brian Bennett. He's going to start on the pole with Michael Brooks from The Wrong Stuff starting right alongside him, also in a Lamborghini this evening. Then we've got the Orion teammates of Mike Dam and the return of Taj Edwards here. They're going to make up row number 2 with Milan Harris from Rockefeller Racing starting in fifth position, with Tyler King from Aerokinetics starting in 6th. And big change for King is he's going to be in a Ford this weekend. This week, Ken Copeland from the Wrong Stuff will start in 7th position with Chester Guidry, another new racer. I believe this is his first race of the season here for HTPK Racing. Then we've got Ethan Bass and Leo Dragota, the Orbit Drop Bear Motorsport racer, starting alongside Orion's Leo Dragota. Then we got Ilya Speaker from Rockefeller Racing starting alongside Charlie Hosea, his Rockefeller teammate. Then on the next row, we've got Ilya Speaker in his Mercedes starting alongside Travis Schwenke. Then we've got Filippo Barberi, who we just spoke about a few moments ago, alongside Keith Stein. Then we've got Zach DeLeva from Aerokinetics. And DeLeva starting 3rd in the AM category. Then we've got Dan Carrizo along with Neil Weston, Chad Sebring, and Aaron Sunday. Adam Ballard with another new racer, Lewis Satterley from Serpent Racing. Devin Sherbarth from Caro Sensui Motorsport. Another new racer will start alongside John Casey. And it looks like, although he did not set a time in qualifying, Larry, your team principal from Rockefeller Racing, Rocky Rocco, has taken to the track in his McLaren. I think the only racer not to join us is Frito Sports' Greg Brockway.
All right, well, this is interesting. As you can see here from these couple laps we've shown, the elevation changes in this place are just absolutely nuts. And
every time you go up, you got to come down. Remember that, Larry.
I've heard that
like 12 times or something over the course of a lap.
It's wise words there. First, you must go up, then you must go down. But in this place, it is like a roller coaster. It's just going to be down. There's a bunch of off-camber stuff. We'll see how these cars. I'm really curious to see how the tire wear works tonight at a new track to everybody. This kind of elevation change could be pretty brutal on some of these slow to mid-speed corners.
Yeah, and of course those GT3 racers dealing with the new tire model that much like the LMP and GTP cars maybe take a little bit longer to get up to temperature. So we'll see how they handle that first lap as we've got Bailey Petrowski, Stephen Hudek here on the front row. Larry, interesting to see Kevin Carlisle, who I would have expected to see in our GTP field tonight. Instead, he's in the chat with apparently one eye closed as the pace car now heads to the pit lane, turning things over to D2D's Bailey Petrowski as they come over that big rise onto the front straight. And our GTP racers, they get the green flag. And as they do, Larry, saw the rear end of Bailey Petrowski's car step out just a little bit. Maybe didn't get the start that he wanted, but he is, as they go down the dip and raise back up to turn 1, he's going to carry a lot more speed through than Fredericks, Hudek, Dragota, who are all bottled up there in the battle for second, as our LMP2 racers now get the green flag as Jordan Griffin jumps to an early lead over Nicholas Lemon. Jordan Butler running in third. Griffin and Butler, the two Jordans, who are our fastest LMP2 racers during practice this week. But now jumping down to the inside, Jordan Butler on Nick Lehman. We'll see how they turn out as our GT3 racers now take the green flag. And coming through this double apex turns 1 and 2, it is Brian Bennett in Sector 5 Lamborghini. So hard to say that, with Mike Dam in his Mercedes running second, Milan Harris in the Rockefeller Racing Acura dropping into third. Great start there for Harris as goes.
Look at the three wide.
Yeah, I was going to say 3 wide with Ken Copeland, Taj Edwards. I think Ethan Bass was in that mess as well.
Yeah, Milan Harris right in that mix. It seems like one of everything. I saw an Acura, I saw a Lamborghini, I see a Porsche, I see a Mustang, a Mercedes, all in one shot. Parity is strong with this one here as they go down a hill, and as you say, then you must go up a hill, something like that. As Bennett was off to that good start here in the GT3s, they continue side by side down in the pack with Leo Dragota. He's in that Mercedes. In front of him is that teammate of his. I want to say that's Taj Edwards still in the Porsche. And somewhere in between them, there's another Mustang in that mix as well. They have Ethan Bass. So just absolutely craziness. And that is Filippo Barberi.
Uh-oh.
He wasted all his time talking to us, and all of a sudden now he's got to focus on the race. And
he's going to have the recovery race of his life, Larry.
He's going to need
it. Let's take a look.
Was it self-induced? As he goes up the hill with that's a little help. It's a little bit of help.
Yeah.
Just a bump. Nice save though.
Oh,
Just barely
Yeah.
glides the wall.
Yeah, I was gonna say he kept his foot in it and thought he was gonna make it. That wall came up pretty quick on him. As now Stephen Hudek, Larry, in his Ferrari, heads to the pit lane
From the front
and,
row.
Looks like he had some problems in the 44 machine as he drops out of second place in GTP.
Yeah, from the front row, and that little battle going on with the rest of the field. So now, as he drops out, that's going to leave not much of a pressure on Billy Petrowski. It's going to fall to Dalton Fredericks now to be the next challenger in line while we take a good look at our LMP2 battles. A lot of purple sector here in LMP2s tonight, 3 out of the 5 in the field. We got to look right now at, we're on board with Jordan Butler looking back at Avon Dorsey. Those two are the only non-purple sectors here tonight.
A lot of gravel there, getting pulled back on track. I think that is where Barberi went off on the previous lap. All right, let's jump back to this fight in GT3. This is the battle right now for second, with Michael Brooks in the Wrong Stuff Lamborghini, throwing up a lot of that gravel right to the windshield of Mike Dam in the new to him Mercedes.
Yeah, good little battle as these front three, and they haven't quite pulled away. Just a couple seconds back behind them should be Milan Harris, Ken Copeland. Starting to grow a little bit of a gap there, but Bennett, Brooks, and Dam, you can see there are a couple extra car lengths from third with Mike Dam back to Milan Harris in fourth. And then you got Ken Copeland, Taj Edwards, Ethan Bass all lined up behind them. So nobody's breaking away here. We'll get a real good gauge of how difficult it is to pass here at Portimao. This front straightaway, not the longest, and then this downhill break is, you can see there the Mercedes of Mike Dam, a little sketchy even under braking.
Yeah, I mean it's got to be very difficult there, Larry. And it's not the only corner where things just drop away down at turn 5 at the hairpin as well. The track just kind of drops away just as you're going into the braking zone, putting a lot of weight on the nose of the car. Also, that final corner, that turn 15 called Gulp. Besides being a blind entrance where you're rising up to the apex and then the track immediately just drops away from you, assuming you get to the apex. I mean, it's got to be incredibly difficult on these drivers to get any kind of rhythm. All right, we've got another driver heading to the pit lane. That's Devin Sherbarth now in his Porsche GT3 AM car, and we'll see what's happened to him a little later on. I have a feeling that Sherbarth maybe just didn't fuel the car.
Let's hope it was all it was, but I have a feeling it might be more than that.
This isn't going to turn out well, Larry.
No, that's a little more of an impact there than some of the previous ones we had seen, and parts just falling off.
And the spring-loaded rear wing.
It just sort of gave up.
We're on board watching Lemon and Lime. I mean, Jordan Griffin and Nicholas Lemon. That's my Sprite joke for the night. Really get a feel here, Larry. Even some of these corners where, where there doesn't appear to be a big elevation change, it happens just at the most inopportune times. Although there are a lot of corners like coming right here where, you get this rise up the hill and you think you're going to have the elevation to kind of help you under braking, but then it's almost like a tabletop where it just flattens out just before turn and completely throwing your braking off.
Yeah, just watching some of the top of the table there as you're trying to turn, not a lot of grip, then you come down these hills and the compression, just the sensations on your body. If this were not a sim race, but a real race, but those compressions in your body would just sink everything down every time you come down one of those hills, and it just plummets. It's just got to be amazing. Good look here at this front group in GT3s. Juan Harris trying to hold off Ken Copeland. They're currently 4th and 5th. They have closed up that little bit of gap that may have formed previously between the 3rd and 4th place cars. Now you can see there Harris right up pretty much on the heels of the Mercedes and Mike Dam.
Yeah, but Harris gave just a little wiggle, 2 corners back, and for a moment there, Ken Copeland was taking a quick look to the inside. And again, kind of difficult to pass around here, and it was a very short run to the next corner. Not much he could really do about it, at least not this early.
And well, Harris better watch it. He's got an always aggressive Ken Copeland behind him that may be looking for opportunities. He's maybe a little bit patient at this point, but Copeland, the competitor, doesn't want to let that front 3 get away. So any more mistakes from Harris, and he may end up costing him a position. We'll have to keep our eyes on that battle.
Yeah, but Copeland moving over to that Lamborghini, I wonder, given that he's, we've seen him race nothing but the Mercedes AMG GT3s, and then in our sports car series, the GT4 edition, moving to a rear-wheel drive car like the Lamborghini might be maybe a little bit more tentative tonight.
Yeah. Well, speaking of changing cars, we talk about the Porsche move now to the Mercedes for most of the Orion team. One of those, Leo Dragota, who's kind of in the past, when he came into this series and these Monday nights, it was always in a Porsche for the longest time. And of course, as the team jumps cars, so does he. So we intend to see his move now to this Mercedes, along with a couple of his teammates.
Yeah, but remember, Larry, when we first saw both Leo and his younger brother Lucas join this series, when Leo was driving for Rennsport, they were in the Mercedes.
Okay.
So we'll see. This is like old home week now for Leo Dragota. So
we know Lucas spent a lot of time. Yeah, Lucas definitely spent a lot of time in that. Of course, now he's in this GTP as we've got the camera. Good shot there, John. Right there on young Lucas. So the Rennsport Racing entry, nice looking livery. I like that, kind of understated. I love the black. Looks good. But his move over to the GTPs this season is certainly a good thing. Try something different, getting out of those GT3s he'd been running for so long.
Great clock up there. One notable driver not here this evening, Larry, and that is, I believe, our championship leader right now in LMP2, with no Dean Dipdahl here this evening.
Yeah, very interesting. I guess taking the night off. He doesn't own the track yet, but going to require him to then attend all the rest of the races. Is this little battle? This is Chester Guidry, one of the new entries in that BMW alongside the Mustang of Tyler King. And is that a Travis Schwenke going to make it 3 wide? Schwenke backs out. King's got the inside line in the Ford. And he's able to take that position, but that was good racing.
Well, Larry, we're getting word now, and I think we know why Stephen Hudek ended up on the pit lane. Apparently, they're on lap 1, some coming together between Lucas Dragota, who we were just speaking about from Rennsport, and the number 44 Ferrari of Hudek. And Lucas has now been assigned a drive-through penalty.
And I think in the previous one, it was Zach DeLeva that had also been issued a post-race 10-second penalty for an incident that he had involving the other car, the Philippa Barberi incident. So you've had a couple of penalties now issued, Dragota being the latest one. So this is our GT3 AM leaders right here. The Mustang, Tyler King, the BMW, Chester Guidry. A couple seconds then to your third place driver, Zach DeLeva.
Yeah, DeLeva, a couple cars back. He's got Schwenke, Jose, and Speaker, the 2 Mercedes and a Corvette, currently between he and King and Guidry. Let's move over here to the pro ranks, Larry. Is Michael Brooks now starting to close down just a little bit on Michael Brooks, on Brian Bennett, trying to get into the draft of that Lamborghini ahead, maybe do a little bit of fuel savings here, but certainly not allowing the 71 machine to escape early on.
Well, you talked about our LMP2 leader not being here this week. Ryan Amman, who's our leader in GT3 Pro, also absent
right.
this week. So a couple of our leaders choosing this to be their drop week. Ryan had come in on a couple of wins already in the first 4 rounds. That's tough, though, because his lead is only about 4 points. And in fact, the top 4 are separated by less than 10 points between Milan Harris, Ethan Bass, Leo Dragota. So Ryan can be the one that misses out maybe on an opportunity here, but it's his loss, because Brian Bennett now is the guy who's trying to pick up some points here out in front of this GT3 field.
Yeah, Larry, and interesting, as you mentioned, Ryan Amon, who only finished 7th at Long Beach at that.
Right.
What a
very
hectic
interesting
race that was.
Yes.
And,
Yes, the
actually,
incident-filled race at Long Beach.
Yeah, indeed. He started on the inside of row number 2, and again finished back in 7th, 4 laps down from our eventual winner. And I think I may have said here early on, Larry, that I was surprised to see Milan Harris up in the top 4, top 5. Milan Harris was our winner at Long Beach just a couple weeks ago in the GT4 field.
This is the drive-through penalty being served here for Lucas Dragota.
Yeah.
Lights flashing and all. Do we want to quickly touch on some of the points? We've kind of
why don't
alluded
we do that?
to them.
Tell you what, why don't we start off with GT3 Pro?
Yeah.
As you said, Ryan Amon currently your points leader, and not a great advantage. Only 4 points right now on Milan Harris, our winner at round number 4 at Long Beach. Drop Bear Motorsports, Orbit Drop Bear Motorsports, Ethan Bass, only 3 points back from there with 172 points. And I mean, so tight up at the front there with Leo Dragota. Just another 3 points back from there. As you go through here, and then Michael Brooks and Kyle Spalding tied for 4th. Yeah. Probably tied for 5th.
And Spalding not here tonight either.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. And then it all falls on Mike Dam, who's only a single point back from there. But this is pretty wild as we look at the point standings there in Pro. And over in AM, where Carlos Barrero took the win over Dan Carrizo and Aaron Sunday at Long Beach. It is Carlos Barrero. That is Filippo Barberi's Streamlab Speed Lab Dream to Inspire teammate with 141 points. And things aren't so close in the AM category right now, Larry. Barrero has 29 points currently on OHND's Aaron Sunday. Dan Carrizo, though, is only a single point back. I mean, once you get past the top 2, you can see how close it is with Carrizo, Tyler King, Zach DeLeva, all within 5 points of one another.
Yeah, these classes, as we're just past the halfway point in the season, these classes are really tight on points. And at this point, any point you can get is going to be crucial to get towards that championship in another 3 rounds after this.
All right, so now Brian Bennett's starting to eke out a bit of an advantage. As they come out of the final corner and onto the front straight to complete for the GT3 racers, now completing lap 9, starting lap 10. For them, what is expected to be a 44 lap race. And looks like the top 4 have started to drop Ken Copeland as well. As Copeland now is, well, not by much, but dropping about a second and a half off of the top 4 as we jump back over to our overall leader, Bailey Petrowski, who has managed now to open almost a 6.5 second lead over the rest of the GTP field, as he is wont to do seemingly every week in that brand new livery for D2D Sim Racing in his Acura, as he's now working his way through the back of the GTP field, something that he is likely going to be doing here, Larry, somewhere along the lines of 4 more times tonight.
Yeah, he's got to choose carefully his spots because he's picking through some pretty tight battles. He's going past one of our wrong stuff Lamborghinis there, but now coming up on this group in front of him, I think might be. Yeah, that might be.
That's the front of the. That is the.
Is that that's the front of the field.
Second,
he's
third,
coming
and
up
fourth.
to. So got to pick his spots carefully here. Next up, Milan Harris. Then of course Mike Dam, Michael Brooks. This straightaway works out for at least 3 of them. He's going to have to probably take his time getting around your overall leader there in Bennett. Your leader in the class, I should say. Oh, he's through. Just a little bit of a hold your breath moment. Because I'm sure Bennett didn't want to give up any time there, as he had actually opened up a gap about 7 or 8 tenths there on Michael Brooks. The last thing he wants to do is have the overall race leader impeding him through one of the slower corners on the track.
Yeah, and notice that as soon as Petrowski went through, he dropped in right behind Petrowski to try to get at least a little bit of a pull out of turn 2 and heading towards the hairpin down at 5, or probably the hairpin at 3. After 2 comes 3, not 5. All right, a little bit further back in the field. Now we've got Adam Ballard in the light blue Mercedes. Dan Carrizo there gets a great run and is able to pull right alongside of Ballard and gets the pass done. That's going to move Carrizo now up into 6th in AM, and that is looking like around somewhere around 16th, give or take, overall in GT3. And they've got now coming the Ferrari of Hudek, who again had taken to the pit lane early on with that incident with Lucas Dragotta, coming up right behind him as well. Oh, Larry!
We have a change in the lead.
Yes,
wow.
We do. Big incident there with our leaders, Brian Bennett with Michael Brooks with Mike Dam, and Bennett is going to end up in the grass. Let's take a look and see what happened.
As again, he's trying to manage the traffic of the car passing, and this time it's Michael Brooks as she taps into the back of Bennett as they all sort of just had a little accordion effect going through that tight corner, and Bennett is the one that loses out. That's unfortunate, but yeah, here's an overhead shot here. Look, as you can see, a little bit of that accordion. Brooks anticipated Bennett getting out of there faster, and he just didn't.
Yeah, and you can see Bennett was trying to get down to the apex, kind of in dealing with the GTP car that came through, just cornering speed a little bit lower than what he was expecting. And as he finally started to come down, yeah, unfortunately, Michael Brooks back to the rear bumper. Let's take a look at it from the rear, Larry.
Yeah, and then everybody just sort of gets hit as the big checkup happens. In the end, Mike Dam's able to clear ahead, but
yeah, and Sean Fitzgerald there in the 28 Cadillac looked like he was trying to find a way out of there as well, and might have had contact with one of the other cars again as everything's sort of tightened up. But now Mike Dam, he is your GT3 leader almost by default.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge hit because when the accordion all happened, he gets it into the back of Brooks, and you can see by the front end on his Orion Mercedes, he's definitely got a little bit of damage. I don't know how much that's hurting him right now. The action's behind him. Yeah, this, and Milan Harris, and then with Ken Copeland now, who's moved up to that 2nd spot. These guys now are dueling. There was a couple angles there where they were 2 and 3 wide behind him now with Copeland, Harris, and Bass. And then Michael Brooks, who dropped to 5th in that whole exchange, kind of right in there as well. Leo Jagoda now a big part of this train. The question is, can any of them now keep up with a potentially damaged Mike Dam, who doesn't seem to be affected by it?
Well, certainly that's not going to be a concern for very long for Michael Brooks, as he has the scales of justice, Larry. They come fast, as Michael Brooks has now been assigned a drive-through penalty for getting into the rear of our former leader. And I'm sure that is no consolation for Brian Bennett, who did manage to limp his car back to the pit lane. But yeah, interesting how Ken Copeland in that whole accordion was able to sneak past Milan Harris to move up into second position. But again, pretty well at 1.2, 1.3 seconds, maybe not that sizable an advantage at the moment for Mike Dam, as Michael Brooks is now on the pit lane to serve that drive-through penalty.
Yeah, well, everyone else in the field is thinking you don't want to give Mike Dam a second and a half, just clear a draft at a track like this. Mike Dam knows how to manage a race. He's won a lot of races in the series. If the field behind him starts fighting it all, Mike Dam's going to have himself a lot of free track to do what he needs to do to potentially pull out a little bit further. With this being the battle that's behind him, this is Milan Harris, Ethan Bass, battling now for third, and they continue to fall further back from Ken Copeland because they continue to fight. And you can see even through these corners, Harris is all over the back of Bass.
And so interesting that the driver from Scotland, Larry, would be driving a Mustang, but there you go, Ethan Bass, rookie in the series here this season. And a nice move on Milan Harris to drop Milan now back in the fourth.
Do you expect him to be driving a McLaren or something?
Yeah, as a matter of fact.
Since they don't have a Triumph GT3 car, you figured he'd go with something British?
Exactly.
Scots hate
an MGB with giant giant flares, and
the Scottish hate the English. They don't want any of their junk, so just grab American.
Although with some of the hairpins here, Larry, the Torquay Mustang might not be the worst weapon that you could have here.
It seems like some folks have run from the Porsche, but I would not mind a Porsche at a track like this. Get some of these digs, Porsche can definitely dig out of things pretty well. Everybody seems to have moved on to other things, but there's, at least for us, entertaining-wise, there's no real dominant platform. There isn't like one that's 60% of the field or anything. You can see even in the standings right now in the race, sure, there's 3 Mercedes in the top, or 4, I guess, in the top 8, but down the order, it's a whole bunch of Lamborghinis.
And Larry, qualifying up at the front of the field, we had, I think, 3 of the top 4 cars were all Lamborghinis, and when they start running into one another, that kind of mixes up the order a little bit. but no, certainly not like season 12, where we saw the Acuras really run away with a lot of the races, not just because Orion was fielding them, but there was pretty substantial balance of performance penalties assigned, or weights and power adders given to those Acuras by the end of last season in order to bring them back in line. Nice move here. Chester Guidry here on Tyler King. And again, this is Guidry's first race here with us in the World Challenge tonight for HTPK. Took a couple corners, but gets the pass made.
Yeah, well done there.
And that, Larry, is the battle for the lead in AM. So Guidry, your new leader, with Tyler King now in second. Zach DeLeva still sitting third.
Maybe Chester is proving that the BMW is still a viable platform in here, as the rest of everyone seems to be. That's the one they all tend to run away from, but Chester here showing us it's still pretty good. They've got a Lucas Tragoda and his GTP trying to squeeze his way through.
And looking, Larry, to see where our race cars are and what we think compared to the pit windows. The probably the GTP racers, led by Petrowski with Dalton Fredericks and Sean Fitzgerald, now have just entered the pit window, and pretty wide pit window. We think running from lap 16, and they're on the 17th lap currently. Should run all the way up to lap 32. So pretty long window, almost twice the distance that they've run so far. For the LMP2 racers, as usual, their pit window a little bit shorter than the other two classes. We would expect that pit window to open up in about 4 to 5 laps, and for GT3, actually about 2 laps, we'll see that window open.
Good little battle here in the LMP2 class. Of course, Jordan Butler trying to hold off Carson Cushman. Carson came in tonight second in the points. Butler is 4th in the standings. About 18 points separating those two. Of course, we talked about Dean Dibdahl leading the way. So maybe a win is up for grabs right now. Jordan Griffin's
we'll go over the points for GTP and LMP2 here, maybe when we come back from the break. Want to let everybody know that next Monday night, July 14th, the Ricmotech Touring Car Cup will be heading north of the border, Larry, I think, and pretty much emulating what's happening in the real world with the IMSA. Going to be heading to Mosport. Oh!
That's Leo Dragota.
And Milan Harris.
Now, Harris had been in that battle for a little while there with Ethan Bass. So let's take a replay here. This time, I think, is that Jimbo Pfeiffer in the Sector 5 GTP ride that's right in front of them. And the apex speed right here at the super slow corner and the long wheelbase GTP is actually slower. And there you can see Harris and Dragota coming together. Both of them sort of held up a little bit in that corner by the GTP. And
it looks like Harris just tried to, I think he had the right idea, tried to come underneath Dragota, and the car just drifted out on him a little bit.
Yeah, Dragota, taken back a little bit, did not expect the checkup so hard there, the GTP, and you can see Harris definitely on the inside, probably opened up his hands earlier than Dragota was ready.
And there you go now. So damage for both cars, and as it stands now, though, Milan Harris still sitting in 4th in GT3 Pro. Dragota now dropping down the 5th, and he's dropped 2 cars. He's got our leaders in the AM category directly ahead of him, and question though is how badly is that car going to be affected? And I don't think Leo's gonna, well, he moves all the way over to driver's right to let cars by. I think that probably says a lot.
All right, well, that's Carson Cushman pitting from 4th place in LMP2. The first of our LMP2s to come in right at the 30-minute mark out of our 75-minute race.
Yeah, and again, this appears to be maybe a little bit earlier than their pit window, so we'll see if Cushman can make it to the end, as it looks like he's also going to be taking tires. But let's do this, Larry, before everybody starts coming down the pit lane. We're heading right towards the top of the hour. Let's take our break, and then when we come back, we'll take everybody to the checkered flag here at Portimao, where you're watching round number 5, the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge here on Apex Racing TV. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org. The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
And welcome back to Portimao, to the Circuit Algarve here for round number 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by Butt Kicker. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And Larry, we are watching Bailey Petrowski, our GTP leader, and for just a couple precious moments of clear air ahead of him here. So he just puts
for a
down
moment.
some flyers. Yeah, just for a few moments.
Busy. It's been busy, and you're really starting to see how the strengths of the cars come into play when you see one of these the LMP2s or the GTPs going around the GT3s, because these big, long prototypes do not take very tight corners very well. We've seen a couple of our incidents tonight happened at the same time as GT3s were allowing the big GTPs to go by, and then suddenly the GTPs were slower. That's left us with some crazy things that have gone on. But here we've got some good battles still happening, as we got a good look there at Tyler King in the Mustang chasing your AM leader, Chester Guidry. So there's a great battle in the AM for the GT3 AM lead here. Look at this, is continuing to pressure is King to the back of that BMW almost at every corner.
Yeah, of course, with King now moving over to the Mustang. Wow.
There's the change in the lead. Is Guidry had a bit of an issue in that corner. Chester runs wide, Tyler King runs underneath, takes over the lead. And then you've got, from the pro category, Travis Schwenke just behind them. He would like to get by these guys and catch up with the other pro drivers he's chasing down. But for now, Tyler King, your new leader in GT3 AM.
Yeah, and King opening up almost a full second advantage on Guidry.
Yeah, here's a replay.
There. Huge miscue by the BMW driver.
Yep, just gets a little bit deep on the brakes there and loses the spot. Managed to only lose the one, though. Came right back on in front of Travis Schwenke to maintain the position on track. So the battle will continue, and there we'll have to keep our eyes on that as the Rockefeller Racing entry LMP2 of Avon Dorsey now wants to get through the GT3 field.
Yeah, all the while, Zach DeLeva, who had been Larry sitting, I think, almost 3 seconds back from this battle for the lead in AM. He had Schwenke, also had I think he had Taj Edwards ahead of him as well. Oh no, Edwards has been out for a while, but they had a couple of racers ahead of him. Is now right there with Travis Schwenke, waiting to take advantage if Guidry has another miscue.
Yeah, DeLeva, of course, in the AM category, would love to just get past Schwenke just to be able to pressure. And there's another big slide from that BMW. So issues are happening right now for Chester Guidry. So, and then more contact now between King and Schwenke, as there goes Ilya Speaker right on through this field.
So, and somehow King and well, I would say King and Guidry managed to hold on to things. Guidry now, though, giving up a spot on track to Charlie Hosea, who was now moving up in the 5th in pro. And there you go, big tap in the rear from Schwenke. Schwenke gets the love returned by Tyler King. Why?
This is turning into a bit of chaos here at the midway point of this race.
All right, Guidry now coming down the pit lane, Larry. We expect to take service. We just had Ken Copeland on the pit lane, and Copeland is heading back out. Maybe one of our first racers to pit. Again, we're getting right to the beginning, I think, here of the GT3. Actually, a couple laps into the GT3 pit window.
Meanwhile, for the lead in LMP2, it's the Purple Sector teammates here of Jordan Griffin and Nick Lemon. You can see them just nose to tail. Almost hard to tell which one's which. I can tell you, Lemon's the one in second. Griffin's the one in the lead. Teammates and all. Beautiful livery on those Purple Sector Motorsports cars. Certainly no team orders either, as they're racing really hard right now. About 5 seconds ahead of Jordan Butler. Got to keep an eye at some point here on Carson Cushman, because he did do that early pit stop. He's about 50 seconds back, as you can see there on the timing tower. But once all the pit stops cycle through, don't count out Cushman.
Again, the question is, did he pit too soon?
Yeah.
And is he going to be able to make it to the end? We'll know that, well, in just about...
And as we're on board with Cushman now.
About 40 minutes.
He just went by Adam Ballard in that Mercedes. Was Ballard in a Corvette last week? He might have been.
I think so. Let me take a look.
And there's Ilya Speaker in a Mercedes, and again, he may have changed cars as well.
Yes.
Yeah, hadn't quite worked
So
out
Ballard,
the new livery yet.
Ballard was running an Acura for round number 4.
Yeah, and Speaker may have also been in, or
yeah,
Corvette.
and I think we mentioned that a lot of the Rockefeller racers had moved from their Acura over to the Mercedes, and then who else were we speaking about? Ilya Speaker.
Yeah.
Speaker indeed also a new chassis as he moved to the Mercedes as well. Again, another one of our Rockefeller racers.
Well, with all the chaos that was happening in GT3s, the initial chaos that put Mike Dam in the lead, the rest of the chaos has been helping him. He's now got a 5-second advantage on Ethan Bass. And,
Damage nose and all.
Yeah, the damage doesn't really seem to be bothering him even one bit. Those headlights almost look functional still.
Up and down. As Dam completes his 23rd lap. And Larry, also here at Portimao, the curbing that has iRacing has deployed them. I guess the newer curbing model. This would give Kyle Heyer shivers, I think. But you have to be very careful where you place the car because these FIA Grade 1 curbs, they will actually lift the car up depending on where you are. They will affect the ability to get the power down as well. So, I think sometimes it's the question of we've got a lot of this red area where you can put, at least for the GT3 cars, almost get the entire car, have the left wheels, say, in the red area, the right wheels over the curbing. And if you do so, you may find that you don't carry as much speed as if you had 2 wheels just on the pavement, on the black stuff. As we continue to watch Lemon and Griffin. All right, Larry, which one's in the front?
Griffin. I can see by the timing tower. It says Griffin first. And
well, there you go. And
it
first
is no
to take
longer
the pit
Griffin
stop.
in the lead. It is now Lemon. as Nick Lemon will take over the lead while his teammate Jordan Griffin pits from the lead and fields that position. And looks like Jordan Butler is going to take over second place as well. Our eye on Griffin. Does he take tires? Is this just for fuel?
And then we'll want to see where he comes out in relation to Carson Cushman. Again, the earliest of our LMP2.
There's more contact there. Wow. As we're keeping an eye on Ken Copeland, who did his pit stop a little bit earlier than the rest of the field, maybe regretting that. That was Keith Stein and
Keith Stein and
Sunday.
Sunday, I think.
Yeah, it was that little battle there between Nick Sunday in the AM class and Keith Stein there in that Corvette from the Pro class. A lot of contact going on there. I don't know if maybe one driver looking at the third car and wasn't looking at the second car. So,
well, all I know is Sunday figured it was probably the best time to take a pit stop as he comes down the pit lane for service. I'm wondering if he maybe got a damaged wheel.
Yeah, Copeland trying to get around Stein. We'll get back to that in a little bit as we check in with LMP2 race leader Nick Lemon.
All right, so Griffin completed his pit stop, Larry, and he rejoins almost 5 seconds ahead of Carson Cushman.
Well, for his race, that's a good thing. Keep that teammate of his behind him. The other one he'll be watching for, of course, will be Nick Lemon when he finally pits, as overall race leader Bailey Petrowski brings his Acura down pit lane.
And he's going to be followed by Avon Dorsey in his LMP2 Dallara, as Dorsey pits in from third in class.
Well, we have a new race leader then, Dalton Fredericks.
All right, Bailey Petrowski is back out. He's going to rejoin in third, Larry, and not very far. I mean, he built up such an advantage. He comes out, what, about 38 seconds or so back from our leader, Fredericks. And given the amount of time that is spent on the pit lane for Petrowski, it was about a little bit less than a minute.
That's
total.
A long stop.
Yeah, it is.
And to see what that does when Dalton Fredericks comes in, because I can't imagine his pit stop's going to take a minute.
No, I mean, even if he makes it for 50 seconds, I think that's still going to give Petrowski about a 25-second advantage, as Nicholas Lemon now comes down the pit lane, as does Jordan Butler. So Lemon and Butler running 1-2 at the moment. They come in to take service for their LMP2 Dalaras, and that should.
Nick Lemon and Jordan Griffin were battling at the time that Griffin came in. So let's see how good the pit crew from the Purple Sector Motorsports handles the second, or I guess now third car through the pit lane. Let's see if Nick Lemon gets the treatment of a practice and ready pit crew. Gets his fuel in and get back out. We'll see
the difference between a number 1 driver and a number 2 driver. All right, Lemon now out of the pit box and heading out in GT3. Zach DeLeva is going to bring his car, his Ford down along with Neil Weston. They're running second and third at the moment in AM. Michael Brooks brings his Lamborghini in for service as well.
There's Jordan Griffin is still in second spot. So Lemon able to come out about 3 seconds ahead of Griffin. So yeah, that pit crew did him well to be the last of the team to come in. We'll see if he took enough fuel to be able to make it to the end of the race. There you can see the pit times, 4-second advantage for Lemon, turns that into about a 4-second lead now in this race with 30 minutes to go.
All right, Bailey Petrowski, Lucas Dragotta in for service, as is Keith Stein in his Chevy Corvette. Adam Ballard and his Mercedes coming down the pit lane as we now watch Zach DeLeva leave the pit lane along with Neil Weston.
Busy pit lane right now with a lot of folks coming in still. A handful that haven't. One of them, of course, is overall race leader Dalton Fredericks. See when he decides to come in. It's not going to be this time.
No.
Goes through turn 1.
Again, his advantage about 40 seconds. So again, even if he's in for 50, you know, he's gonna still come out about 10 seconds behind Petrowski. All right, Milan Harris now pits in from second in GT3 Pro, and Charlie Joseo's right behind him, brings his Corvette down the pit lane. So the two Rockefeller teammates, they're heading to their pit boxes. And that leaves Larry in GTP. Dalton Fredericks and Sean Fitzgerald yet to pit. In GT3, Mike Dam and Tyler King, as well as Filippo Barberi. And Barberi had that off on lap 1, Larry, and again yet to pit, but let him feel good about this race as he's now moved up to 4th in GT3.
Well, there's been so much chaos around that things can change. Well, speaking of chaos, we have a new leader in LMP2. It's Jordan Griffin, as Nick Lemon had himself a bit of an issue right in front of Griffin, and Griffin then takes the lead back.
Yeah, as Griffin made up, 3 seconds after the pit stop there?
There they are. That was a whole lot of chaos. The two of them side by side. And I think was
contact
down there in turn 3. Is they're now on that back straight. Can't tell who's who. That's Nick Lemon on the inside, and he outbreaks himself, giving the lead back over to Griffin, who overcame that 4-second advantage to close in and now has the lead back.
All right, Mike Dam now pitting in from the lead in his Mercedes, as we've got Rocky Rocco
sharing a pit stall apparently with Mike Dam. Apparently when you've got 38 cars signed in like this, the pit stalls are shared, and there you go. Mike Dam's going to peel away, leaving an undamaged Rocco there, as Tyler King is in.
As he pits in from the lead in AM. And Mike Dam, when he rejoins Larry, is not the last of the GT3 racers, but he will rejoin in the lead ahead of Ken Copeland by a little bit over 3 seconds.
Which, honestly, is not that much, considering how this race has gone. I'm actually surprised it's only 3 seconds. With all the chaos that went on, that Copeland was able, I guess, to stay clear of it. Most of it happened behind him. And now, just about 2 seconds separating our leaders in GT3 Pro race. The game is on. Let's see if the Lamborghini can catch that Mercedes.
And we'll see, because it looks like it is a 2-horse race, and it doesn't involve a Mustang. Ethan Bath's about 2.5 seconds behind.
Does have a charging bull, though.
Yes. And Filippo Barberi is our final GT3 racer to pit in. He's going to drop down, looks like probably to 8th in Pro, 13th or so in GT3. Sean Fitzgerald, our last GTP racer, to pit. Actually, I take that back. Dalton Fredericks has not come down the pit lane yet.
We have definitely a fight on our hands.
Yes, we
Copeland's
do.
already making the pass for the lead on Mike Dam.
So did Mike Dam take on... I wonder if Dam took on tires that just haven't gotten up to temp yet. But that was a heck of a run there by Ken Copeland, your new leader in Pro, made up, 2.5 seconds in the span of just about 3/4 of a lap.
Well, if it is, as you say, tires that weren't warm yet, that could play a big part in this race, as we're still 25 minutes from the end. If Mike Dam can get his pace back, he'll be there. I also wonder now, maybe he always did have a little bit of damage. The only reason the lead grew is because he had just been able to pull away while the battles behind him were fighting, and Copeland now on pace with a good warm car. Maybe he's actually faster, but we'll keep an eye on this. and see if that was just something with Mike Dam and his cold tires.
Check back in with Jordan Griffin and Nick Lehman, or Lemon, pardon me.
There's a Bobby in the chat tonight. Hey, Bobby. Says he's not feeling well, decided to skip tonight. That's unfortunate. Hopefully, Bobby, you feel better and you can be back with us next week.
Let's take a look here. It's Sean Fitzgerald in the 28 Cadillac. Just got, looks like he just had a bit of an issue. Might have outbraked himself.
Little moment
Comes up over the crest of the hill.
Yeah, you go over those hills, the cars get light, and you turn in and you hope it sticks, and it did until it didn't. It was fine up until the hill decided to go down the other way, and the car wasn't ready for it.
Well, yeah, I think that also, Larry, and again, you know, where the apex is over the crest of the hill there, you know,
Yeah.
with many of these blind corners, if you get the turn in wrong, you're going to run wide on exit.
Well,
and turned in pretty early for that corner.
Check in here with Dalton Fredericks, who still has the race lead, but also hasn't stopped for his fuel stop yet. He will need to. About a 30-second or so, 33-second advantage on Petrowski, but I believe that's come down. It was up near like 38 or so just a couple laps ago. Petrowski, there you go. It's definitely been closing in quickly the last couple
he's
laps.
Coming in now right at the end of the pit window, Larry. We had, for GTPs, that window extending out 32 laps, and as he completes his 32nd lap, starts his 33rd on the pit lane.
We'll keep our eye on Petrowski.
And Larry, let's check in here. Tyler King, who was our GT3 AM leader.
The back end just let go.
Right at that final corner. I think I mentioned how problematic that big, huge sweeper turn 15 can be because, again, of the change in elevation. He looks like he just got on the throttle a little bit too early there.
Yeah.
All right,
Well, Billy Petrowski has done the leapfrog and got the lead back over Dalton Fredericks.
Yep, by just about 20 seconds there. So just kind of what we expected here as Petrowski continues to make his way through slower traffic. And yes, he does have right behind him. Is that the Beaver car?
It's Jimbo Pfeiffer.
Jimbo Pfeiffer, that's right.
Yeah, that's Sector 5 entry.
And Pfeiffer currently running 6th in his Cadillac.
Look at these guys still battling, these two teammates here, Jordan Griffin and Nick Lemon. And as they go through traffic, it just gets more dicey. Look at this. Lemon's going to try and use the pick. I don't know if it's going to work too well at this time, but he's going to try it anyway. They both clear the traffic, but battle has not stopped.
I think that was that Ken. And Larry, let's take a look here if we can jump in back to the GT3s. As Mike Dam now is, as we suspected, once he got those tires up to temp, has been able to slice about a second out of Ken Copeland's lead, and he's right back there on the back of the Lamborghini.
And if Copeland did not take tires, that could hurt his chances as we get into these last 20 minutes or so. If the better tires are on Mike Dam. Now, track position here is crucial. We haven't seen a whole lot of passes. We've seen mistakes that lead to passes. Brian Bennett is not one of those who Ken Copeland, not one of those who makes a whole lot of mistakes. And we'll have to keep our eyes on him if he can be mistake-free if his tires aren't necessarily as strong as Mike Dam's.
Yeah, and I suspect that Copeland maybe didn't take tires, Larry. Copeland brought the car down the pit lane 7 laps earlier than Mike Dam.
One of our Frito Sports just spun in the background there as we're watching this battle. There it is.
Yeah, that is John Casey. But so
make sure the alignment's good.
Yeah, exactly. So Copeland came in for service, Larry, 7 laps earlier than Mike Dam, but was also in his pit stall 2 seconds less than Dam was. So, you know, besides probably taking a larger fuel load, still managed to save. Oh, it was
that was
Dam.
contact.
Yeah.
Yeah, both cars losing just a little bit there as
Well,
they
it's hard
come
for
out of
Dan
that
to know where
turn.
the front end of his car is because his front end isn't there anymore.
I mean, yeah, how could he tell?
Yeah.
And this is a lot of Ken Copeland doing a little bit of defensive driving. It's him holding his lines at all costs to not give Mike Dam a chance to get a run anywhere. Dam is trying to do the usual, a lot of extra late apexes to get better runs on the straightaways, especially coming out of Lagos turn 3 to get down to that back straight hairpin at the end there. But none of it's working. There's so many just short shots here. You really can't get a run on anybody. The best is going to be onto the front straight, but the sweeper that leads to it is just a great opportunity for any car to lay power down. So as the battle side by side of Lemon and Griffin continues, this time Lemon noses ahead.
And Lemon sweeping around the outside to take over the lead from Griffin.
That's impressive as they continue to battle here.
And a little bit of contact there going into turn 2.
Well, this is them coming off the last corner onto the front straightaway. Griffin had gotten a little bit of held up, but yep, Lemon takes the outside line and just chops his way into turn 1. There it is. He knew he was clear.
Yeah, had a lot of room there. Well, let's do this, Larry. Since we are looking at our that battle for the lead in LMP2, let's take a quick look at the point standings here. Of course, 2 weeks ago, Dean Dibdahl did take the win at Long Beach over Carson Cushman, with Jordan Griffin finishing in 3rd. And as we stand currently, Dean Dibdahl, who again is not here racing tonight, 201 points, 9 points up on Carson Cushman, who's currently sitting in 3rd at the moment, with Jordan Butler and Jordan Griffin currently tied. The two Jordans tied for 3rd here at 174 points.
Oh, who's that going slow in the middle of the track there? It's one of the Mustangs in there. Is that Tyler King?
Tyler King, who a couple of laps ago appeared to be off the pace, Larry.
I wonder if he's having a sim issue, because the way that car is just coming off of corners and just drifting out, doing some strange things like this, like the car just isn't behaving.
And Larry, that's what we saw. That's almost an exact replay, other than that he ended up on the pit lane last time.
Yeah, either
exact same
tires,
place and exact same way.
Either within the sim, he's worn the tires off so badly that the car just doesn't handle anymore, or he actually has a sim issue. Maybe he's lost some power to his wheel, and the car just is really awkward in a long, sustained corner like that, where you're trying to find that knife's edge. It's not possible. As we check back in to Mike Dam and Ken Copeland, Dam with a run, but look at that, still not a long enough straightaway to actually get alongside the Lamborghini into turn 1. Again, Copeland continues to lead.
Yeah, and both he and Dam are slowly but surely even opening up the lead over Ethan Bass even more. As last time we checked in, it was running about 4.2, 4.3 seconds, now at about 5 seconds. And so, Copeland doesn't really have an opportunity to try and with a 4-second gap, and I don't think it's going to matter now as Dam is able to come right underneath. He turns in a little bit later, is able to pull right up alongside the Lamborghini.
As the track switches directions, the Lamborghini's got position on the inside. Can Dam hold the outside and get the advantage on the subsequent corner? No.
And that's coming out of turn 7 and 8 through down out of Samsung into Craig Jones into turn 9. Probably one of the twistier sections of the track here. And I was going to say, Larry, that with Bass so far behind, there's no opportunity for Copeland to try and back Dam up into Bass. I mean, you just can't do that without giving up the position here.
Yeah, I don't know that he wants to back him up so much, but he certainly needs to hold track position is everything, and that was a smart move there for Copeland. He got beat through a corner, but he knew the next corner was going to stay right, so he continued to hold that position, was able to keep the car in front there, and as we go on to the front straight, he's got a car length or two. Should be enough to hold the straightaway and hold the lead going into one, and Copeland continues now with just about 13 minutes left.
Yeah, but look how much the Mercedes is able to pull up underneath the Lamborghini on the straightaway.
Yeah.
I mean, we typically don't see that much of a pull or an effect of the draft in GT3, but certainly here, and I don't know if it's just because the Mercedes is trimmed out a little bit more than the Lamborghini. He just gets a great run out of the final corner.
It could be the tires he's got under him. Just has a little bit of grip
That too.
coming out of, whether it's all the way back to turn 14 and then running that momentum through 15, but it's not enough to get through. And then, as you saw there, coming up to the hairpin there at turn 3, Copeland, defensive, dead middle of the track, would not let Mike Dam have an inside line at all, but also left himself enough room to get a good exit at 3 to run the back straight. And here we are. He still has the lead. Now we got some traffic they're going to come up on. Let's see who that is. I think it's Adam Ballard in that Mercedes. See if Ballard lets these guys play through, or if what Ballard chooses to do. There's a good shot of all three of them.
Yeah, and I think we're also, and I don't know if it's a question of Copeland and the car positioning, but we are starting to see, Larry, where he is getting maybe a little bit more rotation out of that Lamborghini than he
Traditionally,
used to.
This car has been a handful even on the best of tires. I can't imagine what this car feels like right now on a set of tires that have got themselves, somewhere around 36 laps under him. But this is not his best run off the final corner. In fact, he's got to try and grab a draft off the back
Side
of that Adam Ballard. It might be enough to hold that position. I can't believe this. I tell you, the Lamborghini may have pretty good straight line speed tonight. Look at that defensive line, just right in the middle. Dam all the way out to the exit curve, trying to turn in a wide line, get a run off of turn 3. Copeland's so tough right now.
Yeah, but Larry, as Dam keeps opening these corners up, I mean, that is putting less load on those tires. It's if anything, if Copeland is having issues with tire wear, he's only exacerbating it right now.
He is, but I think it's being done because at least he can hold lines. This is so difficult to pass. You park yourself in the middle of the track when there isn't really a place to get pushed wrong. Dam is trying everything to push Copeland to then taking an ultra defensive line and then giving Dam the advantage on exit. But Dam is not able to do that. Copeland's dead middle of the track positioning is keeping him in a way that he can still get good enough exits to hold the position before the next corner. And this is corner after corner, the same strategy. And so far it's working. Dam's got to figure some other way to get Copeland off his line. It's a little bit different. Dam's going to try and stay outside here. This is the corner where Dam tried to go inside before. Didn't work here either. Board of Mike Dam. Let's see what the view of frustration looks like. Even the straightaway, a little bit defensive there for Copeland.
Well, in thankfully for Mike Dam, he's only got about another 10 minutes of frustration to go at most, Larry.
And here, you see this now again. Look at that middle of the track position.
Great
Copeland
positioning.
knows, it's a hairpin, and then he knows he can hold that position around this left kink onto the back straight, and there's nothing that Mike Dam can do. It's not like the hairpin from turn 3 is the entrance of the straightaway. That extra kink is giving Copeland a chance to be defensive, and now at the end of the back straight, another hairpin.
And Larry, we've got a new leader in GT3 AM, and it is Chester Guidry. Now moving up to the lead. Yeah. Well, let's take a look here. We know about King, who's been having some issues. The other Aerokinetics Mustang, that is Zach DeLeva, as he puts the car around. He's going to fall from second all the way down to 9th in AM. And that is almost, I think that's 20th in GT3.
Wow. And so maybe, just maybe, those cars have a setup on them that is destroying rear tires, and now we're seeing both teammates in the Aerokinetics Mustangs having the issues in the exact same corner several times. They may be regretting their choice of the Mustang here for the second half of the season. Meanwhile, Chester Guidry says, welcome to Monday Night Ricmotech. I'll just take the lead. Thank you very much.
Thank you. There's Neil Weston there, popping up over the hill in the Corvette. Now moves up into second. And Weston is currently sitting 10th in AM. This would be a great finish for him.
Like, damn, looks like he could get a run, and every single time Ken Copeland driving just the Jeff Jacobs of Lamborghinis right now. It's just the widest car you could imagine.
Yeah, exactly. Larry, as we were discussing, it was interesting. I was doing some reading, and Dam now pulls right up alongside.
That's race leader Petrowski
behind him. Yeah, exactly. And everything that I had been reading, this is a pretty easy track to pass on. And then I realized, it's all the motorcycle racers that are saying how easy it is to pass.
Yeah. Well, now with the traffic, Copeland continues to get defensive. Dam can't get a run. Now that's Lucas Dragotta in his GTP trying to just lap these guys, and Lucas not able to. He's a lap down from race leader Petrowski anyway, who's going to hustle off in the distance here as soon as they get to the front straightaway. Copeland, though, those tires have just got to be shot. There can't be anything left in those tires right now.
Meanwhile, though, Larry, from 13 all the way up onto the front straight, interesting to see the GT3 cars with more or less the same pace as our GTP leader Petrowski.
I just can't believe the pace. Speaking of that Ken Copeland is able to pedal this car around. The previous lap was actually really close to his best lap of the race. He was in the 43s for a lap there, trying to fend off with defensive lines on Mike Dam behind him. These two are flying. I was trying to check and see, is Ethan Bass closing? Ethan Bass is not closing because these two guys are fast.
Well, and I'm wondering if Bass is having the same issue that all the other Mustang drivers are having.
Very likely, yeah.
But they've now almost doubled their advantage over Bass, going from about 4 seconds to
look at those
now
lap
over
times,
8.
though. The low 44s, the 43s. Defensive lines leading to those laps, very unusual. Shows you the pace, I think, that Copeland has. And we'll see if in the next 5 more minutes now, which is roughly, about 3 laps, depending on where race leader Petrowski is.
All right, so Larry, let's jump over to the battle for HTPK supremacy here between Chester Guidry and Neil Weston, as Weston has he's just knocked off about 1.5 seconds in the last lap on Chester Guidry, and he's right on the back. And interestingly enough, this Corvette chassis for a long while was maybe the odd car out, and just did not seem to have very good performance potential when it was first brought into the iRacing platform. But it's starting to turn into a car, as you said, where all the chassis seem to be very, very closely matched at this point.
Yep. Meanwhile, Jordan Griffin, we got a shot of him there, still in second spot. The lead in GT3 is still the same, with now about 4 minutes to go. Going through turn 1, Ken Copeland still just ahead of Dam, and Copeland now able to take the full wide entry into turn 3. Like Dam was not able to force Copeland to too defensive of a line there. Gonna have to try something different, even if it's just all the way to the inside of a corner, even if you're having to be behind Copeland, just to make Copeland take a super defensive line. Just so close, just inches between them all the way around. Yeah, if I'm Mike Dam, I almost start taking really unusual lines that have no chance, but just to see if you can get Copeland to go extra defensive.
Just give him the blank, yeah.
Yeah. Pull the one side and see, because then coming out, maybe the better tires could help Mike Dam. But again, here, nothing doing.
Big wiggle from Dam.
Yeah. Well, that's a frustration wiggle right there. Say one more time. I'll start finish. Probably 2 more for these guys. Meanwhile, race leader Bailey Petrowski.
Yes, Petrowski now starts lap number 45 and lapping at about he's only about a second off of his best lap at about minute 35, minute 36.
This is our GT3M teammates here battling for the lead. Guidry and Weston. These guys having the same sort of fight that Copeland and Dam are having. I remember early Guidry had the lead, and then he had a little bit of an issue there with some contact, and he slid out wide. Now he's got the lead back. He's hoping history doesn't repeat itself, and this time, if he gets bumped, it's going to be a teammate that's closest by. Yeah. So let's see how that goes between these guys.
All right, so Larry, with now about a minute 40 remaining on the clock, Petrowski should be coming into like turn 14 or thereabouts now. Yep, there he is. And should be heading up towards the, there's 14. Will be coming down to the final corners here and onto the front straight. I believe he'll be getting the white flag.
This should do it. This should be white flag this time by.
There it is, white flag in the air, Larry. One more lap to go here at Algarve at Portimao as Mike Dam takes a look to the inside on Ken Copeland. Might have gotten into the back bumper there as he pushes through the corner.
All right, well, this will be 1.5 laps left for these guys. Well, like 1.1 at this pace as they're entering the front straightaway right here, and they'll see the white flag. Marty's Portuguese cousin waving that flag in the background there. Copeland, can he do this for one more lap? I would have thought that going to fresh tires would be an easy move for Mike Dam to be able to win this race, but look at this. Cannot get a line anywhere around Copeland.
No, Copeland is just putting on a masterclass in defensive driving.
Yeah, and none of it's blocking. It's all just beautiful positions, corner to corner.
Yeah, exactly. It's having the car a quarter of a car length over to one side, and again, not completely running his tires off here at the end. As we've got Bailey Petrowski now, Larry, coming into turn 14. And it's sweeping 14. He's going to run down the hill and to the final corner towards Gulp, and that will bring him onto the front straight where Bailey Petrowski from D2D Sim Racing is going to take another win here in the GTP class. And there he is, your winner in Portimao in GTP, Bailey Petrowski. As let's jump back to this battle for the lead in GT3. And it looks like we just had Sean Fitzgerald, who's running second in GTP, spin the car right behind our two leaders.
Tell you what, that's amazing stuff for Ken Copeland, what he was able to do here for this last 25 minutes of this race. On tires that are now 47 laps old, he's going to win GT3 Pro just barely over Mike Dam on the fresher tires.
There you go. Ken Copeland from the wrong stuff taking the win. Let's move over to GT3 AM, where the two HTPK teammates, Chester Guidry in the BMW, Michael Brooks in the Corvette. And Larry, I don't know what happened here, but pardon me, Neil Weston in the Corvette. Yeah. And Weston had an issue as he's now fallen back to third.
Yeah, Weston's back there quite a bit, but
yeah, I'm sorry, he's still second in AM, but he's fallen back behind Michael Brooks.
In his debut, it's going to end up being Chester Guidry tonight. Great run.
Yeah, great run there. Chester Guidry, your winner in GT3 AM for HTPK Racing. And in LMP2, from Purple Sector Motorsports, Nick Lemon, will take the win over his teammate Jordan Griffin. Jordan Butler will finish in third for DNA. All right, so as we watch Bailey Petrowski on his cooldown lap, Larry, let's do this. We'll take a quick break. We'll thank some of our partners and sponsors. When we come back, we'll talk to some of our winners here from Portimao, where you've just seen round number 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Butt Kicker here on Apex Racing TV. Stay with us.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best-trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Hundreds of name brand parts. Expert support. Ricmotech has you covered. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
And welcome back to Circuit Algarve, Portimao, here in Portugal, where you've just seen round number 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by Butt Kicker. I'm Greg Ginsburg. He's Larry Lefty McLeod, and somewhere down there is Bailey Petrowski, who takes the GTP win for D2D Sim Racing to put a stamp on his dominance of this field here this season. He takes the win over Sean Fitzgerald from Lead Paw Racing, who had his issues on the last lap, Larry, but had built up enough of a margin over Dalton Fredericks that he still had, well, about a second to spare. Then in LMP2, Nick Lemon for Purple Sector Motorsports takes the win over his teammate Jordan Griffin, with Jordan Butler from DNA finishing in third. And then finally, or not finally, in GT3 Pro, Ken Copeland from The Wrong Stuff, masterclass in defensive driving, takes the win over Mike Dam from Orion, with Orbit Drop Bear Motorsports Ethan Bass in his Mustang taking the last step on the podium in Pro. And over in AM, it was Chester Guidry taking the win in his World Challenge debut for HTPK Racing, taking that BMW across the line ahead of his teammate Neil Weston in the HTPK Corvette, and then Dan Carrillo finishing third in class in his Acura. All right, so Larry, let's take a look. I think we've got a few of our race winners sitting in the green room waiting for us. So why don't we start off first with our LMP2 winner from Purple Sector Motorsports, Nicholas Lemon.
All right, Nicholas Lemon joining us here, your winner in LMP2. And Nick, tell me a little bit about that battle you had with your teammate. That looked amazing.
It was a lot of fun, man. It was really awesome to come into it with all of us being about the same level of preparation. We're getting ready for the Spa 24, so probably not quite as much as we should have. So we knew it was going to be close wheelbang, and then I made sure I told Jordan before the overtake, if I crash you, I'm sorry. This was a fun race.
It looked like there were probably a lot of moments like that. Like, I may be about to crash you, but I'm trying it anyway, kind of things. And you guys just kept battling one after another. And then the pit stops, I thought, well, okay, it's solved. You got the advantage. All of a sudden, Jordan comes back, and now you guys are fighting again. It just looked like some of the most amazing stuff. And I get the feeling this is not the first time you two have gone side by side for a whole race.
You know, I'm fairly new to Purple Sector Motorsports as far as racing more with them. I did do Nürburgring with Jordan, but as far as wheelbanging, it's pretty much been here with Ricmotech.
Wow. Well, it looked great. You guys looked like you had a ton of fun, and you were able to come out on top, and that's great to do. I think tonight this is your first win in the series, only in your third race now?
Yep, sounds about right.
Yeah, well, awesome. Congrats on that. And but I'll give you a chance if you want to give a shout out and mention anybody, team, sponsors, friends, family.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely Purple Sector Motorsports, great group of dudes. We do a lot of fun racing together, and of course to Jordan and to Carson. They're one of the coolest dudes in the group. We appreciate racing with them.
Yeah, well, great run here tonight to bring home victory for Purple Sector Motorsports. Nicholas Lemon, congrats.
Appreciate it.
All right, Larry, let's move over to our GTP winner tonight from D2D Sim Racing, Bailey Petrowski.
All right, Bailey, here we are. New livery on the car, same result, a win for you. And that looked exciting. What we didn't catch a whole lot of was your pit stop. It seemed a little bit extra long. Any idea what was going on there?
I did take tires. Not everyone did do that. With how hot the track was and how difficult these conditions were, I wasn't going to take that risk. And it ended up being quicker in the long run anyway, even though I think I didn't check how much time I lost from it, but I think it was like 5 or 6 seconds maybe. But yeah, just being on the safer side, I didn't really have anyone near me, so I wasn't going to take any big risks and just wanted to make sure I finished it, because it was very tough conditions.
Yeah, it did look tough. In fact, we saw a couple of cars, particularly the Mustangs GT3, seemed to have issues late in the race just to try and keep the tires under them. Not sure how much of that you saw in trying to make your way through traffic. Did you tell other drivers maybe late in the race struggling with their tires?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's definitely changed the dynamic of when I was coming up on cars. There were some people that lost a lot of their confidence in the car and would just let me by. Usually people who would try and make sure they're getting every ounce of time and making sure they're not losing anything for me passing. But there was a lot of people that were just giving way, just making sure, giving as much room as possible to make sure we all passed each other safely, because it was very difficult on both sides. And yeah, I saw a lot of wheel spin from other cars, a lot of cars getting loose. It was, yeah, it looked like they were struggling just as much as we were.
Yeah, it looked pretty crazy out there, but it's a new track. It looked like a lot of fun to drive for sure. And speaking of it, looks like you guys may have a new sponsor or name there on board on these cars in D2D?
Yes, I believe that. Honestly, Bobby didn't give me too much of a briefing on it, so I can't tell too much about it. But yeah, they work together with this, and then we have the new livery, which Bobby did a great job on. It's kind of going back to the purple that I was running before. Yeah, definitely want to thank them for now supporting us.
Yeah, that's great. Always good to have new support here amongst the ranks. But great job here tonight. Anybody else want to give a mention to here before we let you go?
Yeah, definitely want to thank the rest of the team. I do want to thank everyone else who's driving out here. Everyone did a great job and made sure that it was, for the most part, a clean race considering how treacherous the conditions were. I thank you guys for commentating on the races, as well as all the sponsors, as well as the still fairly new sponsor, Speed Lab, and then Ricmotech, Butt Kicker, SDK Foundation, you guys at Apex. Then thank friends and family for always watching.
Awesome job. Well, tonight you got another victory here for you for the team, for the new sponsor, and for everybody watching. Awesome job here for Bailey Petrowski, your TGD Sim Racing winner. Congrats.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
All right, Larry, let's move over to GT3. We're going to start off with our winner in GT3 Pro, driving his, I guess, new to him, Lamborghini for the wrong stuff, Ken Copeland.
All right, Ken. Ken Copeland joining us here. Ken, the winner of GT3 Pro, but you put on a masterclass in car position and defensive driving without blocking, but just beautiful stuff. How much were you sweating with Mike Dam in your mirrors for about the last 25 minutes?
I was sweating quite a bit. Like, that was a ton of work, and the most frustrating part about it is he didn't have a front bumper the whole time. So it was both exhilarating and frustrating at the same time, which honestly is the best way to describe this track.
Yeah, it looks very tough, and I'm sure even tougher from Mike's position behind you. But it seemed to be a way where you could drive and just hold the line enough to be able to carry it. I don't know if maybe the Lamborghini had a little better straight line speed on the front straight that perhaps the Mercedes couldn't take advantage of. But whatever combination it was, you managed to make it work. But I assume you did not take tires, and we're pretty sure that Mike did.
So I took 2. You could get 2 for free. I'm pretty sure you needed 52 seconds or so, or something like that. That's not right. Not 52 seconds in the box. I'm pretty sure he took 4 because he set in the box the amount of time you need in order to take them. I think it's like 21 seconds or so. Okay. I just took the 2. So I think he was on fresh tires. I was on 2 fresh tires. They were a little bit older, but not much. And then he just had no front aero. So I think he was just kind of eaten alive on that last corner exit, and then he couldn't make up the difference down the straight. And then rest of the track, I was just basically parking the Lamborghini because I don't know how to drive this thing. But
yeah, it's not exactly a Mercedes, is it?
No, it's not. Once everybody swapped over, because the AMG, it feels amazing with the tire update, especially once you get it warm. But like with it being more popular, I was like, I'll swap over and hang out with Mike for a little bit. And I'm having to learn my way around this thing, which I'm not usually a huge fan of the mid-engine cars. So we'll see how it goes the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, it worked out in your favor tonight after a lot of chaos early in this race. And then just an amazing thing. I'm going to tell people if they want to watch how to drive a defensive line, how to hold a lead legally, you just put on the masterclass. It's beautiful to watch. Just amazing.
Thank you.
But I know that you've got a lot of teammates and friends and family that like to watch, and hopefully they enjoyed this one. Let me give them a quick mention. Feel free.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously all the support from the wrong stuff. I also want to thank XMS, all the admins that put all the work in and try and make this league happen week in and week out. They do a great job. Obviously Apex Racing TV. It's nice to be back hanging out in the right league with the right names. So thank you so much for the awesome broadcast week to week. And then obviously our sponsors. VRS throws us some money. Ackerman Toyota, UBSafe, Abruzzi, Dangerous, and then SimMotion, Ricmotech, so on and so forth. So thank you all for letting us put on a show every week.
All right, well, congrats tonight, Ken. Just a great job here getting the win for the wrong stuff. Your winner, GT3 Pro, Ken Copeland.
Yeah, y'all have a nice evening.
You too.
All right, Larry, that leaves us with one racer here in his very first outing in the Ricmotech World Challenge, takes the win in GT3 AM for HTPK. It's Chester Guidry.
All right, Chester Guidry, your winner in GT3 AM. And Chester, welcome to Ricmotech. You walk away a winner tonight, but you had a whole lot of ups and downs and backups tonight. Tell me a little bit about how you thought your race went.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a lot of ups and downs. Kind of got caught up in a little chaos a few different times. Made a driver mistake and found myself back into some traffic. So I knew the pit window was open. I said, well, let me come to pit road, get myself out of this chaos. Maybe I can fight my way back up. And I ended up working out. I think it was a little bit of a race of attrition after the round of pit stops, and we were able to keep it clean.
Yeah, a lot of attrition out there. A lot of folks who couldn't keep their tires under them. Should I assume you took tires at your stop? Because the Mustangs around you seem to just have eaten theirs away.
Absolutely. I don't think I could have made it on one set of tires.
Yeah, for sure. It was. It looked hot out there. It looked crazy, but keeping your head together, pitting at the right time, and coming through the end is how it's done. But your debut here in the Ricmotech series, what are your thoughts after one round?
Yeah, that's right. I had a blast. My teammate Neil Weston has been, asking me to join this league. This Portimao track is one of my favorites, and so I said, you know what, let me give it a shot. And so I hope we put on a good show for the people watching. We were 1-2 for a little while, and I think Neil might have got in some debris and lost it in one of the corners. So, but I think it looks like he brought it home P2 anyway. So
Yep.
hopefully we put on a good show. I had a lot of fun, and I'll be back again.
Well, awesome. Yeah, definitely a good show. People are definitely going to enjoy watching this one. That was a ton of fun. And getting the win here for the team, I'll let you give a shout out to them or anybody else you want to mention.
Yeah, Neil Weston, Lloyd Cooper. We make up HTPK iRacing division. We race go-karts in real life, and we race iRacing on the computer. So
Very cool. That's you're up my alley on that one. So awesome job here tonight, though, getting the win for that HTPK team. It's Chester Gidry. Congrats.
yeah, thanks guys. See ya.
All right, well, you go, Chester. And of course, Chester just noticed the fleur-de-lis on the side of his BMW. He hails from Louisiana. As long as he didn't go to LSU, I think everything's okay. All right, Larry, let's go and wrap things up here. Let's take a look at what we've got coming up on the schedule. I think I mentioned it early on in the broadcast, but next Monday night, July 14th, the Touring Car Cup for our TCR Hyundais and the Toyota GR86 Cup machines will be heading north of the border to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, to Mo Sport, for a 60-minute race. And then in 2 weeks, July 21st, it's a good thing we got the brush up on our Portuguese here at Portimao, Larry, because the World Challenge is going to be heading down to Brazil, to Interlagos, for another 75-minute round. That's round number 6 of the championship. And then in 3 weeks, July 28th, the Touring Car Cup heads to the Old Country, heads to Brands Hatch. So that's what we've got coming up here in the next couple of weeks. So want to thank you, of course, Larry. Want to thank Jonathan Grabowski. Want to thank all of our viewers for watching this here tonight. And we'll see you next Monday night here on Apex Racing TV. Have a wonderful week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.